Hello, welcome back to my channel. I've had some people ask me, why are you always drinking something that looks like lavender in your tea? Lavender has so many benefits, so the list is endless. I'll probably do a video about how many benefits lavender has. Edible benefits, beauty, skin benefits, and so much more. But this video is not about my lavender tea. It's about me and mistakes I've made. Because sometimes I think it's really important to hear someone tell you how stupid they were at one point in their life. Sometimes that's comforting. Sometimes it's inspiring to hear, hey, you know what? I'm not the only idiot in the world. Because we get so competitive and we compare ourselves to other people. Social media is really good at showcasing perfection. This video is going to be all about the biggest major mistakes I've made in my lifetime. Now, as I'm recording this video, I'm 36 years old. I know, it's shocking. And throughout my 3+ decades of life, I have had so many crazy chapters that are totally crazy polar opposite from the other. You know, each one is so insanely off the record of norm, or to compare the chapters, it's like a new book. You couldn't really fit all of my chapters of life into a book that flowed. It is so drastically different. And what I mean by that is from growing up in a very strict Hispanic household with traditional Hispanic rules and mindsets, and then going to military life, married to a white guy, and being a sociopath, and being a complete weak, battered woman who would jump when he said jump, to a very independent, successful entrepreneur, business owner, executive, with, you know, stubbornness and strength and bluntness. It's like the phases of who I was could not be so different through each of those chapters. But all that to say, I made so many stupid mistakes throughout those chapters. And I'll start with my teen. My first one was my arrogance and pride. I regret it so much. And it was a big mistake that I made, allowing that kind of pride in my heart and to consume. But no one would really guess I had it. It was kind of a hidden pride. On the outside, I looked very humble, meek, considerate. I was brought up in a sheltered home, so I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things. And because I was brought up to think, okay, you know, you need to live up to a certain standard. These people are not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not living for God. They're making bad choices. They're going to regret it when they're older. That gives you like, oh, I'm better than them mentality. And I see that in a lot of kids that are also brought up with these kind of Christian parents that just, they teach them how dumb the world is, and the arrogance kind of gets into their children. I was that child, so I know exactly the mindset that they're having. They will start to be very arrogant, think they're better, talk down, you know, talk as if they know more, and they're a child, and I think that there's a fine line on how much a child should be talking down to an adult. But that was the kind of pride I had. I thought I was better, I was making perfect choices, and all of these other people were so beneath me and making horrible choices that they were gonna regret. There's not a day that goes by where I don't think about how stupid I was at that age and why I allowed it. And again, it's your upbringing. I was brought up not really with some balance that I think people need, children need. And so I had to learn later, and it took a lot of humility and a lot of more dumb mistakes to actually fix that very first mistake of mine. And some people would debate if it was really me, if it was my parents' fault. I still own a portion of the pride that I entertain, because I was taught to not be proudful. But still, kids like that are in my situation, it's really hard You know, you could teach them right from wrong. You say pride is evil, pride is sinful, but yet still make them feel like they're better than every other stupid human being on earth. So it's a fine line. Parenting is hard. The second mistake I made was running off and marrying a stranger. Now, so many of us girls do that, and we would not consider that guy a stranger at the time. But when you look back and you're mature, you realize, okay, you don't really know a person that well. Let's say if you were only dating for 6 months, right? I was so sheltered. I wanted to get out of my house so bad. I was actually kicked out of my house for dating when I was 20. So, you know, I was mentally effed up in the head. There's just a lot going on. So I was already pretty much gonna be homeless. So in a sense, I had to run off and marry fast because of that, but also because I really thought that was the right choice. You know, I'm not gonna let myself slide. That was a really stupid thing I did. I didn't have to marry him. I had plenty of people that would have taken me in, so I can't make excuses. But regardless, I made a dumb choice, and that choice affected so much of my life. At the same time, I don't really think it's technically something that was not supposed to happen. Now, you look at it as a bad choice because you learned something, and that's what I mean in this video and how I'm talking about a mistake here. But in general, you kind of have to go through these things in order to become a better person. And God bless me immensely. I wouldn't be here, the amazing life that I have, if it wasn't for those mistakes. So, though they were stupid choices, they were still needed. I had to learn something, and the only way I was going to learn something was to go through those stupid, shitty chapters in my life. Big mistake a lot of us do. We marry an idiot. We marry someone that we were not supposed to marry. We didn't really know that person, and you just make a life-changing decision that you're gonna have to own and get through, and I did. And that is one thing about me, is I own all of my choices. I might have excuses for them. Who doesn't? We do, naturally. But I still own it. I don't ever once say, God, what the fuck did you do? Why did you do this to me? Why did you allow this to happen? I've never once said that. I know I did it, God. I know, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. But you gotta get me through this. This is why. Sucks. You know, that's the kind of conversations I'll have. The third mistake that I made, really bad decision, was turning away from a spiritual relationship with the divine, with the spirit, with God. I really, and we all go through these periods where I step away, I get so consumed with life and what's going on that I just don't think I have time to deal with some spiritual, you know, hocus pocus relationship with some energy that's beyond our comprehension, right? And now obviously I don't look at it that way. I look at it as so vital and important, but big chunk of my life I didn't. I set it aside, and it made me go through more emotional trauma than I otherwise would have gone through if I made sure to reach out to God and get that support. I think it would have helped me a lot more emotionally, physically, because it affects your physical aspect of your life if you're not taking care of your mind. And so having a spiritual relationship and looking outward, meditating is so important. And I hate the fact that I turned that off for so many years. That was definitely a big mistake. The next one was my career. There's one job, and I'm not going to say which job it was, but I really did not give it my all. I was really half there. I had so much going on, and this is shit that will pop up in my head even to this day, and I'm like, oh, it was so stupid. Why did I do that? And it still mentally torments me. But I took a job and I was not fully present. I didn't do it the best that I knew that I could. Yes, I was being sued every month by a sociopath and going to court and fighting for my daughter and my privacy and my rights and my protection, being threatened. Yes, besides all that going on at the same time, I still should have been present at my job. A lot of people, with all the crap that comes at them, it's so hard to do your responsibilities. And some people just get immobile, they shut down, and they have to take a sick day. Their stress is getting to them and they can't focus. I'm sure you understand that you've been there when you had to go to work and something in your life is really affecting you and it's just, you can't work. It's like you're so consumed with the issues in your personal life that you're not able to focus and do your job. We've all been there, and I really let that one destroy that job, and they ended up letting me go because I could not give it my all. And I am a woman that loves to be above reproach. I hate when people actually have a justification to think ill of me. That really bothers me, because I strive to do what's right and be good and considerate and do my job. And when I fail in those kind of ways, I take it really hard. All these mistakes really took a toll on me, because remember, I was brought up being perfect, right? So I'm still battling that instant thing, that instant, in a sense, pride of just not allowing myself to fuck up. We need to give ourselves grace, and we don't. We bash ourselves, we mentally torment ourselves, and we don't just forgive ourselves. We give ourselves a hard time. And through all this, that is probably the one thing I've been wanting to learn, and still in the process of learning, is to give myself grace. Allow myself those periods of fucking up, because we're all human, and to help me move on past it so I'm not so mentally tormented from my fuck-ups. Another one is being financially unstable. There's a point in my life where I was the submissive, battered, mentally abused housewife that didn't have a job, didn't have money. So I didn't have that experience of managing money. I went from sheltered home into a marriage, remember? So I really didn't learn the things that I needed to have learned to be a good, successful adult. Now, again, I had a lot of legal fees because of a sociopath and fighting something he knew he wasn't ever gonna win. So a lot of it was out of my control. A lot of it I couldn't control, and I had no choice, because that's where all the money went. So it's not like I just had a spending shopping spree. I should have balanced it better, and right around the time where I was dealing with all these legal debts, I started to get better at how you manage it. But at that point, legal debts were coming in, and so I was just getting buried. Regardless of my improvement on how to budget, it became a point where, you know what, we gotta live frugal, we gotta not go on vacation every year, and we gotta actually live life the way a person would that's really wanting to get out of a hole that was forced upon them, financial debt and issues. Sometimes you'll hear people vent on social media about debt or a situation that they're in, but yet they're always going on vacation, they always eat out. This was things we never did as a family. When I was hurting, when we were hurting financially, you never saw us go on vacation, you never saw us eat out, you never saw us buy frivolous things. We were really trying to get out of that situation, and that is something that's so important to do if you really are taking it serious and you want to get out of financial issues. You gotta sacrifice, and we made sacrifices that most people just don't make, but yet still financially hurt. So that is a tip for you. If you want to get out of something like that, you got to go all in. You got to reject some things in your life. It'll be painful for a little bit, but trust me, the rewards are amazing once you get out of that. So all this to say, we're human, and I think so much we beat ourselves up, and we need to start giving ourselves grace. Remember that other people are in the same boat. Usually there's many who are worse off, and we need to remind ourselves of that, and it, in a sense, is very comforting when we do. We're all human. We all fuck up and make mistakes. It's good to talk about it, but at the same time, forgive yourself and move on is the #1 important thing to do. Thanks for watching, my friends. Subscribe, share, maybe someone else needs to hear this. Of course, like, comment on what you think, and definitely come back.